money. It's outrageous, right? They're outrageous.
Anyone would say that. But they just said, well, oh, then MJ told me to give him offer him 150. Well, they could say, we're not dealing with this guy that wants $5 million. You deal with him. Did they? No. And remember the second, I think it was the second witness, Detective Orlando Martinez. Here's a guy who's in the Special Robbery Homicide Division, LAPD, doesn't know anyone in this case, doesn't know anything about Michael Jackson. He gets called as part of his job. He goes out on the scene, and he's on the scene, and he's thinking, as a detective is trained, let's figure out why did this happen? You know, he's a trained Los Angeles Police Department detective. He's out there trying to figure it out what happened. So he goes out there, and he gets a search warrant. He doesn't just break into Murray's car, follows the protocol. Remember, it's a death investigation at that time. Goes into Murray's car, and he finds two things. Just two things in Murray's car. The contract and Mr. Phillips' card. And it didn't take him long to put it together and say, hey, I'm focusing on this motive, financial aspect of it, important to Dr. Murray, his willingness to disregard his Hippocratic oath for financial gain. Within days, the LAPD was on it, immediately. I mean, he's not on one side or the other. He's not trying to help us or help AEG Live. He's independent, working for all of us to protect us in the city of Los Angeles. He's called out to piece out. He's like on it immediately. But he wasn't the only one. He says, I asked him, how did you determine that? Just by looking at the contract. Well, the contract stated he was going to get $150,000 a month. That's a lot of money for anyone. And in this case, did you think there would have been potentially been a motive as to why Dr. Murray, what he did, that you wanted to investigate? Yes, for his own financial gain. And then he goes on to say, when I asked him, how would you classify Dr. Murray's financial condition? Severely distressed. His home was about to be taken away. His office was being closed. Total was like 500 grand in debt. It was way more. There was a notice put on that foreclosure lien, leading me to opine that he may, for his easy money, the $150 a month, break the rules, bend the rules, do whatever he needed to do to get paid. Might solve his money problems. I mean, you don't need to be Dick Tracy to figure that out. It's pretty obvious. He finds two things, boom, he's right on it immediately. And ladies and gentlemen, AEG, with the sophisticated lawyers and all their people, they didn't know that? Come on. And then Detective Smith said he was losing his house, had a lien against his pool, arrears in child support, multiple children. He financially was a mess. Come on, that's easily determined. And then I asked him if he had serious concerns that the contract and Murray's interest, financial situation, he would violate his oath. Yes, sir. And it was your determination that that's why he did it. Yes, sir. So here we have the LAPD determining why Murray did what he did because of the conflict of interest. That's not an expert hired by us. It's not an expert hired by them. It's an independent Los Angeles Department of Police detective with 28 years on the force in the elite robbery and homicide division, makes that determination that Dr. Murray, for financial gain, based on the contract, violated his oath. And I think that's clearly what happened here. There's no other reason to explain why he would do this. Oh, was he enamored with Michael Jackson? Sure. But all these other doctors never did it. In fact, Mr. Green, when we asked about the AMA medical ethics,
5 minutes to leave. 5 minutes to leave.
It's like a voice coming from the sky. Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Green talked about the medical opinion. AMA, that's the American Medical Association, that says that when you're looking at large incentives, create conflicts of interest, that can affect clinical judgment. That's correct. And $150 a month, would you consider that a large sum? In general, yes, of course you would. I mean, come on. So remember, Dr. Murray's a cardiologist. Now, they're going to say, well, he was an internist where his boards had lapsed and he was really practicing cardiology. Michael had no cardiology problem. Dr. Wogelentner, I always pronounce his name wrong. Remember, he came in early in the case. He's an interventional cardiologist, and he testified that an interventional cardiologist trained in internal medicine, cardiology, and interventional cardiology, not trained in substance abuse, addiction, medication, or sleep, would not be an appropriate candidate to be the physician for Michael Jackson on the This Is It tour. And that makes sense. I mean, it's not anything big. And he also said, since Michael had no history of heart disease, no problem with high cholesterol, blood pressure, cardiologist's experience and skills wouldn't be appropriate. It's a mismatch. It's not what he needed. He didn't need a cardiologist. And he also said that Murray was not fit and competent. And as far as the administered medications, he's not trained or credentialed to administer, provided those medications in an unsatisfactory environment. And he was convicted for it. Everyone knows that. I mean, it's not a stretch that he was unfit and incompetent. Come on. All right, so what did they find in Michael's system? All of these prescription meds, propofol, lidocaine, lorazepam, diazepam, midazolam, all that Dr. Murray gave him, everything given by Dr. Murray, and, I know I'm going fast, I'm sorry, and they're going to tell me that at lunch to slow down, so. On June 25th, when he gave the fatal dose, at 5:45 in the morning, he's emailing Mr. Taylor. Remember, that's the gentleman, the insurance broker in England, on behalf of AEG Live. He gives the propofol, then he's emailing back again with Robert Taylor in England at 11:17 and 12:22. The fire department is called and Michael's unable to be resuscitated. Ed dies, and Dr. Murray's talking on the phone and doing everything else that day instead of providing fit and competent treatment to Michael. And just I want to finish on this. Mr. Senoff, the first witness in the case, the paramedic, again, independent, not on either side. When he went, did you feel Murray was competent, fit to perform even CPR? He didn't think he was. Remember, was he on the bed? Was he on the floor? He couldn't even perform CPR. Come on. And all of these other doctors, Dr. Quinn, remember they wanted to make a big deal? All these doctors that Michael said, I need some kind of sleep medicine, none of them ever gave him propofol like this. But Dr. Murray, the one that's connected with AEG at $150,000 a month, he did it. He's the only one that did. And why do you think? Because nobody else is getting paid that kind of money. So I think in answer to this question, you need to put yes. This is question number 2. And I think that, Your Honor, would this be an okay time to stop?
This would be a good time.
Thank you.
Okay, let's break for lunch. We'll come back at 1:30. 1:30.